So the title of this talk is Shut Up and Be Courageous, talking about leaders and what it takes to be a leader. And one of the things that Aristotle also said is shutting up means listening. That if you don't listen to the people that work for you, with you, around you, if you don't understand the context of who your audience is and where they're coming from, you cannot inspire or motivate. You can't really do anything effectively. You can just talk. The other word, courageous, we're fortunate again, like Anne O'Day, people who want to do the right thing. It's courageous to want to do the right thing. So when we're thinking about whether you're a startup or growing or enterprise, whatever kind of company you are, and wherever you are in your leadership, because everyone's a leader of something, working on yourself first and identifying yourself to be comfortable with yourself to grow, that is a great way of wherever you are in your journey to take a look at and work on. And then you can tell a story. So when you think about it, here we have Socrates, who didn't believe in religion. He was confounded by people fighting with each other over one religion or the other. And he said it could be that we're just weeds, and we're just born and we die. And if we're just weeds, that means we have ego, we have self-interest, and we have ambition. And that means ego gets us up in the morning, and self-interest puts the roof over our heads, and ambition is how far we take it. Like that weed up there probably had more ambition than the little weed. He said, but again, I don't believe in religion, but how do we know for sure? And it could be that we are here for a reason, and there might be something else, and we don't have to identify it. But what it could be is that we have a purpose. Whether it's my sister, the school teacher, who saves one kid a year, to Gandhi, who had influence over millions. Doesn't matter where you are, but wouldn't it be more interesting to think that we're supposed to do something? And so many people, leaders, everybody, we concentrate so much on what we need to improve, and we should. He said, we don't concentrate enough on what makes us extraordinary, what makes us special. So I named what he was talking about, I named them scoops. That if there is something, that each one of us gets something, and I think you have three things that make you different from everyone else. And since we don't know, if there's something you're supposed to contribute, it's because of something that makes you extraordinary. So your assignment, as your own leader, is to think of what your scoops are. And this is a fun exercise that I go through with people that in the beginning of the career, middle, or tread like me, is to think about what it is that makes you strong. For example, I'm heliotropic. It's a biological term that if you plant something, it goes towards the light. I am a nauseating optimist. Okay, it's a strength and a weakness. I never give up, and I actually give a shit. I actually care about another person's story. So those are things that I know that I can build on that have helped with the cadence and the commitment of my leadership over the last 25 years. And it's fun to identify if you do think life is more interesting than being a weed. And then as you develop that and you focus on that, there are things to work on. Okay, so here we're working on ourselves because you can't tell a story, you can't communicate if you don't have confidence in something about yourself. So here's a balance, and we all know people. Arrogance and insecurity. Why would someone be arrogant unless they're insecure, right? Arrogance and insecurity are mean. And sometimes people early in their career, and I think we all know some people like this, they're just not nice. And insecurity is a debilitating thing that causes some people to be arrogant. And there's two kinds of those. There's smart ones and stupid ones. Smart, arrogant, insecure people have a pattern. There are some very powerful people that are smart and insecure, and I could go into politics and have a conversation about that right now, but I'm not going to. But smart, at least there's a pattern, so you know how to navigate it. Still, it's not the favorite boss or the favorite person that you want to be involved with. The stupid ones that you want to watch out for, because arrogant, insecure, stupid people have no pattern, and you just want to stay away from those people, all right? So just have a border against them. Then there's habit and character. Character is about whether you're a good person or a bad person. I think we can safely say that everyone in this room, at least the intent and the behavior so far that we've seen of this conference, we're good people in this room, so it's not about character. But let's talk habit. Habit is something that can be broken or formed. A habit is something we learn how to do, and that includes insecurity. So if you can work on the habit of insecurity, and when I work with folks, including myself, the biggest insecurity most of us have is what other people think. You cannot be a good leader if you're worried about what other people think. It's not that you don't care, but that you do things because of that versus doing the right thing. And this is a habit just like an old girl, but I have good arms. I do 40 push-ups every morning. I didn't start with 40 push-ups. I started with 3, got up to 10. I'm up to 40. I'm going for 100. It takes work, and it takes work to fight against the insecurity of worrying about what other people think. I'm pretty good at it because I work at it every day. But 2 weeks ago, even I got upgraded on Aer Lingus. I don't know if you know about Seat 3K. It's like a suite. It has no one sitting next to you. I was so fortunate. I was sick. I didn't feel good. So I was so excited I could watch any movie, I could read. And this guy came up and he said, "Can I trade seats with you?" I said, "No." I never say no. And someone else said, "Oh, I'll trade with you." So it was fine. He wanted to sit next to his sister-in-law or something like that, so it wasn't about kids. For 11 hours, I was so upset, not because I had said no, but because of what he would think of me for saying no. When I got to San Francisco, I stayed in the bathroom till he got his baggage and got out of there just so he wouldn't see me. So no matter how common, it's something to always work at. Okay, so what do you want leaders to work for? It's, turn it around, humility and confidence. A lot of folks, to be humble, they think it means showing weakness. To be able to say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong, let me fix that. Let's do this a different way." To be an example of somebody who stays a student. Staying a student means you always learn. The best example you can give your people, or you can advise the people you work for, is to stay a student. Humility is something to be proud of, and it's the counter, it's the balance to your confidence, because then you can work on things that make you good and strong, that help you make the world a better place, because you've got the balance between the two. So as you develop your character, your story, things that you do, the example that you want to set for your world, whether it's small or big or emerging, this balance between humility and confidence is something just like my arms or a race or a musical instrument. It's an effort that you give to every day. Now, I have a great example of a famous, and this ties it to storytelling, a famous woman here in Dublin who is one of my puppies. I work with her. She's one of the best leaders in the world, and she's a mucky muck. I mean, she's important. And so she had this presentation to give, and she wanted to tell a story, and I was coaching her on this or that. And she said, "Oh, I'm really good at this already." And I go, "Really? Have you talked to the audience about what they want to know?" "Well, no. But they always tell me that I make a good presentation." Anyone who tells you you've made a good presentation might be blowing up your skirt. Not any of yours, but in this case, hers. You have to ask the audience what they need and want to hear, and say something as you develop the story about yourself that is significant to the audience, and it's real. So I interviewed her. It was about resilience, and it was to the staff. And so she really fought me on this because she doesn't like to be vulnerable. I mean, she's nails, and she's great. But we really worked on it, and she came up with 3 stories about what it was that made her so good at what she did. Anyway, she went. 2 weeks later, I get this phone call, and she said, "Got to tell you, my people came up to me afterwards and told me I did a really good presentation." And I was sitting around, and this guy came up to me. I just hired him about 6 months ago. He said, I've never heard you speak before. And she goes, oh, God, here's another great presentation. He said, you talked about resilience in a way that I've never heard anyone talk. He said, pulled out of his pocket, he said, there are 3 things that you said about what it was like to be a woman and the experiences you went and what you learned and how it made you stronger. He said, I wrote them down. I'm taking them home. And I'm going to tell my girls. He said, I have 4 daughters, and they're teenagers, and I'm going to share your story with them, so thank you. So this woman, of course, she thanked me, but I thanked her because humility and confidence, she is a student, she continues learning, and you should hear her story now.